welcome back to Spring Into Math 5. This is Mr. Stein here with you again, and today we're talking about using line plots to gather information. Okay. So, when we use line plots to gather information, we need to figure out how to read line plots first. So, we're going to talk about how to read them. So the following line plot shows data regarding the number of people who attended different movies in 1 week. All right, so let's use the following line plot to answer some questions, because last time we talked about how to build a line plot. This time we're going to kind of dive in further on how to interpret the information that a line plot provides. Okay, so if we were to create a list from this data, we're going to answer this question. Is the following list correct or incorrect? So you can see my line plot. I have a line plot from 21 to 28. So if I'm interpreting to see if my information, my data is correct reflection of the line plot, I want to check my range first. So I have 21 up to 28, that looks correct. And then basically, I think the easiest thing, if you were using a pencil at home, just to kind of tally, or I'm going to highlight to kind of check off to make sure that it's accurate. So I have 2 21s, so I'm going to check off my 2 21s. I have 1 22, so it's reflected there. I have 3 23s, so I'm just going to kind of check them off there. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 24, so I only have 2. So right here we can tell that there's a problem. So in this instance, I don't even have to go any further. I know that the following list is an incorrect reflection of the line plot provided. Okay, so would you consider the list in number 1 to be organized or unorganized data? Okay, so if you look at this list, we have 21 up to 28, and it looks like it's in numerical order, and that's kind of the that's the rubric for understanding if it's organized or unorganized. So I would say that this is organized data because it's in numerical order from least to greatest. Okay, so let's look at this line plot. It says how many showings had 25 people or more in attendance? Okay, so obviously it's kind of one of those questions they're trying to get you to say 0. Well, there was no performances with 25 people. But if you notice, it's really asking 25 people or more in attendance. So if you think about that, we're looking for anything for past 25 in this range right here. So you can see that I have 3 showings that had 27 and 2 showings that had 28. So the answer would be that I had 5 showings that had 25 more in attendance. All right. So how many showings had less than 25 people in attendance? And so again, I'm just going to kind of divide it right at 25, and this time I'm going this way because I want to know how many had less than 25. So this one's a little more work, so you can see it's 2 had 21, 1 had 22, so that's 3. 3 performances had 23, so that brings our running total to 6. And then 24 people had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 showings, so we have 6 plus 5, so we have 11 showings that had 25 or less people in attendance. All right, so this time we're kind of looking at a true or false statement. This data also tells you which showings had the most people in attendance. Okay, so does this data tell you which showings had the most people in attendance? It really doesn't. All this is telling me is the amount of showings and then the amount of people in attendance at those showings. So this would be false that this data does not tell me which showings had the most people. I don't know if these were matinees at 7 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, whatever it is. This doesn't tell me any of that. This just tells me sheer numbers of people in attendance and how many times that data point is represented. All right, let's look at another true or false. There were 2 showings that had 27 people in attendance. So that's a simple one. You're just looking for 27. Obviously, there's 3 showings that had 27 people in attendance, so this would again be false. All right, so here's another line plot. So in this one is showing how many seals came into the harbor in La Jolla, California during the entire month. So it says, use it to answer the following questions. So let's just take a look. So you can see that it's 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. So we're counting by tens. And then you can see the X is representing how many times you saw 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 in the month. All right, so how many times did 30 seals appear on the beach? And then we just kind of looking at it. Well, there was 2 times where 30 seals were reflected because you have 2 X's, so the answer would be 2. And then it says, which 2 categories have the same frequency? And so again, this line plot can also be thought of as a frequency table, how often something happened, the frequency of it. And so you can see here that which 2 categories have the same frequency. Well, you can see that there's 2 for 2. You had 40 and 30 had 2 times that happened, and then you have 50, 60, and 70 had it as well. So it says which 2 categories have the same frequency? Well, you can see that that 50, 60, and 70 have the same frequency of 1 time, and 30 and 40 have the same frequency of 2 times. Okay, so how many times were 50 or more seals counted on the beach? So again, we're looking for 50 or more. So you can see we have 50, 60, and 70. So we have 1 X on each of those. So 3 times 50 or more seals were seen on the beach. Okay, this one's a true and false. This line plot shows us the number of seals that came on the beach each day of the month. And I'm looking there, I don't see any days. It's not scattered about how many times that you saw the different days of the week or even like calendar. So that would be false. This is just telling us the frequency of the number of seals. All right, so we have we have another question here. We have a true or false. This one's saying that there weren't any days with less than 30 seals appeared on the beach. And based on our line plot here, we're going to have to trust this as the accurate data. I don't see 20 or 10 or anything else, so that would be true. This is saying that it was always 30 or more. Okay, so that's going to kind of do it as an introductory of how to interpret data using a number line. Make sure when you guys are doing your practice problems with mom or dad that you really take your time, use that line plot. It's there to help you. See you next time.